Alcadeias Lord of Spirits is one of the most iconic cards in the entire Duel Masters franchise, and I'm inclined to say that it's also one of the most beloved cards among fans of the international release. Today, I thought it would be fun to talk about the backstories behind some of my physical copies of good old Alcadeias. So as many of you know, Alcadeias is a card that we've wanted to build a deck around for a really long time, and over the years I want to say we have achieved that, but to varying levels of success. Because of how long we've been talking about this card and wanting to build around him, we have been able to accumulate several copies over the years. 4, or I guess 5, as you can see here, plus the Japanese copies, is certainly excessive. I'm pretty sure I targeted 4 at one point, and then I guess, kept running into them. Anyway, to start off, this is the card that sort of caught my eye the other day and really inspired the series. So this is the copy of Alcadeias that is currently in our Ozesu deck, which is a Tribal Angel / Demon Command deck. Now, from the sleeve, I'm not sure if you can see the extent of the damage. It might not look so bad, but if I were to remove it from the sleeve and give you guys a closer look, it actually is extremely terrible. You can tell that the paper at the front is kind of peeling, as we can see here. There are a lot of, problems with the card in the corners, and even at the back, you can see the previous owner actually colored this in to match the card stock, which is really funny. So how did I come into ownership of this card? Well, several years ago, actually I would say maybe 10 years ago now, I befriended one of my online friends named Jabbo. And if the name Jabbo rings a bell, that's because he was in one of our previous videos when we did a pack opening for several McDonald's packs. Or I should say, Jabbo and his friend did a pack opening for those packs, and that was sort of their way of wanting to contribute to the channel. So, with this copy of Alcadeias, or rather I should say with my backstory with Jabbo, we met on an online marketplace in New Zealand, for New Zealand I should say, called Trade Me. Basically it's where people go to buy and sell their stuff. We noticed that there was a bit of a Duel Masters community there. There were about 4 people. 2 people lived in Wellington, I of course lived in Auckland, and there was another fellow who lived in Christchurch. And I think we made a few transactions and we just held on to each other's contact details, and every so often we would just hit each other up about cards that we would come into ownership for. Hey, I have this, do you want to buy this? Or hey, I'm looking for this, do you have any in stock on hand at the moment? And so we started to develop this transactional relationship, which eventually turned into a friendship. But yeah, so you must be thinking, what does Alcadeias have to do with Jabbo? Did your friend sell you this piece of crap, basically? And from a certain point of view, yes. What happened was I was, very gung-ho in making an Alcadeias deck, and I hit up Jabbo. I was like, do you have Alcadeias? And he is a lot fussier about card condition than I am. I trust him, and so I bought it. When it arrived, it came in this condition, and it was completely destroyed. And I was kind of disappointed, so I asked him, I took a picture and I asked him, and I was like, hey, what's the deal with this Alcadeias? Did you send it like this? And he said, no, when I sent it, it was in near mint condition. So that was that. He gave me a good discount. He shaved a few dollars off the original price, and I'm pretty sure that was that. But lo and behold, several weeks later, I had another Alcadeias arrive in the mail, and I didn't know who the sender was. And it was, these are the 3 Alcadeias that I have in the best condition. It was one of these ones. I guess I'll remove this one from the sleeve just so we can have a close inspection. So here we go. Looks pretty good at the front. Looks really good at the back as well. And yeah, so I was actually very surprised. And then I put 2 and 2 together, and I was like, who knows me? Or rather, who knows that I like Duel Masters? And who would have sent me a copy of Alcadeias? And I put 2 and 2 together, I hit him up, and I was like, was this you? And he said, yes, this is just free of charge because Well, the other one came in really banged up shape, and I really appreciated that. It showed that my friend had a real sense of integrity, and I honestly was pretty happy with how we resolved things with this destroyed copy. But he went above and beyond basically to try and make me happy, which he very much did, and I really appreciated that. Now with these two copies, if you remember, or rather if you've seen my video on my top 5 Duel Masters regrets, you will know that around 10 years ago I bought several packs of Shadow Clash of Blinding Night. I opened a bunch of them and I just pulled these. So not that rich of a backstory. If you want to hear more about how I got those packs, you can check out that video. I'll leave a link in the description below. But yeah, that's the story for these two Alcadeias. Now going back to the subject of friendship, here's another Alcadeias, and if you look down here, you can see that it says Sheldon written in blue ballpoint pen. So Sheldon is one of my very close friends. We became very good friends from playing Super Smash Bros. And he's a supporter of the channel. I've mentioned him in, I think, 1 or 2 videos already. And actually, if you go back to one of our early mail day videos, I'll leave a link to that in the description, you'll see the moment I obtained this card, so that's really funny. But yeah, so Sheldon was basically clearing out his closet. He knows that I'm running the channel with Andrew and Damien, and he's like, hey, do you want some of my old cards? And I was like, absolutely. We absolutely take those. The story behind this is Sheldon really likes light cards and angel commands, which is funny because Damien really likes Alcadeias and Angel Commands and and those same sort of cards, and they both play the same character in Smash, so that's I guess a funny coincidence. But anyway, Sheldon loved this card so much, he treasured it as a child that he decided to write his name on it. I suppose the love faded eventually and he decided to part ways with it. Or on some level, I guess he thought that this card would better serve our channel, who knows. Now, considering he got this as a child, and back in the day, people in school didn't really play with sleeves, or at least they only sleeved their best cards and not their whole decks, or they used penny sleeves, this card was actually in pretty good shape. I mean, there are some folds across the top, and there are some, I guess, scratches or discolorations, like in the corners. There's some whiting over here. But all things considered, given the age of this card, and given how it was handled by kids, I think it's in pretty good shape, all things considered, so that's pretty neat. But yeah, that brings me to the end of the video. Those are just the stories for my English copies of good old Alcadeias. I thought they would be really fun to share. And if you guys have any stories to share about specific cards in your collection, feel free to leave them down in the comments. I'd be very interested to read them. Anyway, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys next time.